central Queensland cyclone, floods in South Australia, and storm havoc in California. This is National 9 News.
Good evening, Don Seccombe and Paul Griffin in Brisbane. A 500-kilometre stretch of the Queensland coastline is being lashed by strong winds and big seas tonight as Cyclone Eleanor hovers offshore. The Cyclone Warning Centre says Eleanor is expected to be only 50 kilometres out to sea at midnight tonight. Coastal centres have been warned to prepare for the onslaught.
Police in Mackay, Gladstone and Rockhampton say their districts are being lashed by heavy rain but have reported no serious damage. Rockhampton authorities say power is being restored on the city's northern outskirts following transformer malfunctions. The seaside resort of Yeppoon was without power for more than half an hour earlier today when gusting winds brought down power lines. Heavy rain, gale force winds and, as you can see, quite substantial flooding are the effects of Cyclone Eleanor so far. This road and the only other one into Yeppoon are both blocked to traffic. From reports we've had from police there, locals are preparing for the worst. Already, Yeppoon Hospital has been evacuated. The Cyclone Warning Centre says king tides predicted for St Lawrence and Shoalwater Bay could cause more flooding in coastal areas. Winds near the eye of the cyclone are reaching about 200 kilometres an hour. Water leaking into telephone lines is also causing Telecom minor problems. Rockhampton State Emergency Service Controller Norm White says although rescue teams are on standby, he's adopting a wait-and-see attitude. Rockhampton Police still have no word on a vessel stranded overnight on Swain Reef, east of Mackay. At last report, the skipper of the vessel, Polar Bear, said he was going to try and float free on the incoming tide. Cyclone Eleanor is now moving towards the coast at about 11 kilometres an hour. Steve Kerry in Rockhampton for National 9 News.
Big seas whipped up by Cyclone Eleanor may have claimed the life of a woman at Mermaid Beach on the Gold Coast. According to police, the woman was swept out to sea about 5:15 this afternoon, but police, lifesavers and a rescue helicopter have so far failed to find her. More heavy storms this afternoon again flooded major roadways in and around Adelaide after a night of drama in South Australia. The banks of the Gawler River broke this afternoon, flooding a wide area. But the worst was last night, when floods brought more heartbreak to a state still reeling from the bushfires.
Barossa and Clare Valleys were extremely hard hit by the overnight storms. And in Uriotpur in the Barossa, there's a new fear. The town's sewage system has broken down, and authorities are gravely concerned about the threat of disease. Communication is another problem. Hundreds of lines are out, and Telecom is asking that only essential calls be made to the Barossa.
In the town of Gawler, north of Adelaide, the caravan park was hardest hit. In the early hours of the morning, floodwaters from the North Para River swelled down from the Barossa Valley and poured into the Gawler River, which burst its banks. Within minutes, the water was over 25 feet deep in a river that normally trickles this time of year. Park residents didn't have much time to get out. 4 cars and 9 caravans were just swept away. Some vans were later pulled from the ravaging floodwaters. In the low-lying western suburbs, hundreds of residents were woken by police and told to evacuate. Luckily, no houses were damaged, but the Gawler River was 100 metres wide in some areas.
The weather also dominates the news in America. So far, 13 people have been killed and more than 50 are injured since a wave of storms hit the Californian coast.
The wind and waves are by now ominously familiar. So too are their victims. The coastal residents who again today watched the foundations of their beachfront lives erode and in some cases give way as they looked on helplessly. In Malibu, it was the 3rd time this season they have totaled up the damage.
Obviously something is seriously changing, and I really wonder if any houses are going to be left.
All along the Southern California coast, the damage toll continued mounting. Another 400 feet gone from Santa Monica's famous pier. Cars and a construction crane washed into the sea. Another pier battered in Santa Barbara. 27 homes damaged or destroyed in an exclusive suburb. And in Orange County, where 900 homes have been flooded, the battle to prevent further damage continued. A virtual army fought to reinforce a flood channel, while the victims salvaged their soggy possessions and braced for more flooding.
It's just a total loss. Nothing is salvageable. Water ruins everything.
I've lost everything. Got to start all over from scratch. It's terrible. And I don't know who's going to help us.
The victims include the helpers, a police emergency crew whose helicopter last night apparently clipped a utility line and crashed. One person was killed, 2 others injured. They were aiding victims in a 3-mile strip of Los Angeles ripped by yesterday's freak tornado. It is an area already riddled with poverty and unemployment. Today, some of its major employers were out of business. The residents carried on, many of them in shelters for the homeless. The latest storm changed the plans of California's royal visitors. Today, they decided to fly to San Francisco from Southern California rather than brave the heavy seas in their yacht Britannia.
Cyclone Oscar, which hit Fiji on Tuesday night, has left a trail of damage which will cause minor inconveniences for Australian tourists. A spokesman for the Fiji Visitors Bureau in Suva says the Nandi area around the international airport was badly hit and a number of nearby hotels are either closed or operating on reduced basis. The Macambo and Travelodge hotels in Nandi are closed and the Tanawa and Regent hotels are operating at half capacity. In nearby islands, both Beachcomber and Treasure Island resorts have been closed. 30 people have been taken to hospital after a passenger train derailed late this afternoon at St Mary's in Sydney's western suburbs. 4 carriages of the westbound express jumped the tracks near St Mary's station. One man was trapped in the wreckage for more than half an hour. There are now massive delays to rail services in the west.
First of 4 carriages of the train left the rails only about 50 metres west of St Mary's station at about 4:30. Fire, ambulance and rescue services arrived minutes later, closing off the area as overhead power lines had been ripped down. Police say the train was due to terminate at St Mary's station but failed to stop, the 4 carriages crashing into each other as they left the tracks. 30 people were injured in the